I'm Richard, 58 years old, and I've learned that life has a strange way of turning casual words into life-changing moments. It was a warm Tuesday afternoon when I saw Emma struggling with grocery bags outside the corner market. She's 55, always dressed nicely, with that gentle smile that makes you feel like the world isn't so rushed after all. We've been neighbors for about 3 years, exchanging pleasantries over the fence, waving as we collected our mail. "Need a hand?" I called out, already crossing the street. "Oh, Richard, would you?" "I think I overestimated my strength today." She laughed, a bit embarrassed. As we walked toward her house, I noticed something different. The usual lightness in her step was gone. Her hands trembled slightly as she fumbled with her keys. "Everything all right?" I asked, setting the bags on her porch. She hesitated, then smiled that practiced smile people use when they're anything but fine. "Just one of those weeks, you know." I nodded, but something told me to stay a moment longer. We'd both lost our spouses years ago, her more recently than me. Sometimes loneliness has a particular look, and I recognized it. "Coffee?" she offered, surprising us both. Her kitchen smelled like vanilla and cinnamon. Family photos lined the walls, frozen moments of happier times. She poured 2 cups, and we sat at her small table. "My daughter called yesterday," Emma started, staring into her mug. "She wants to sell the house and move into one of those senior communities. Says it's too much for me to handle alone." "Is it?" I asked gently. "Honestly, sometimes yes. The gutters need cleaning. The furnace makes strange noises, and last week I couldn't open a jar of pickles for 10 minutes. She laughed, but her eyes were wet. "But this is my home, Richard. Every corner has a memory. I'm not ready to let go." We talked for over an hour, about aging, about stubborn independence, about how our children mean well, but don't always understand. As I stood to leave, the words just came out. "You know, my house is too big for one person. Do you want to move in with me?" I said it with a chuckle, that safe tone that lets you pretend you're joking if the other person seems uncomfortable. Emma smiled and shook her head. "You're sweet, Richard." Thanks for the laugh. I walked home thinking how foolish I must have sounded. 2 neighbors in their 50s barely knowing each other beyond weather talk and borrowed sugar. What was I thinking? But that night, I couldn't stop thinking about her trembling hands, that forced smile, the weight of maintaining a whole house alone. I understood it because I lived it too. The next morning, I was trimming the hedge when I heard her voice. "Richard?" I turned to find Emma standing at my gate, wearing a cream cardigan over a navy dress, looking nervous. "Is your offer still good?" My shears nearly fell from my hands. "I'm sorry, what?" "Yesterday, when you asked if I wanted to move in, were you serious?" I studied her face. This wasn't desperation or impulsiveness. This was courage. I was actually, though I tried to disguise it as a joke in case you thought I was crazy. I set down the shears. "But Emma, it's a big decision. You don't have to." "I've been awake all night thinking about it," she interrupted. "Not just about my house becoming too much, but about something else. I'm tired of eating dinner alone, Richard. I'm tired of talking to the television. When my daughter suggested that senior place, all I could think was that I'd be surrounded by people but still completely alone." She took a breath. "You listened to me yesterday. Really listened. That hasn't happened in so long. And I thought maybe we're both tired of being alone in houses too big for our hearts." I felt something shift in my chest. "Come inside. Let's talk about this properly." We spent that morning discussing the practical things. She'd rent out her house for extra income. We'd split household expenses. She'd take the guest room, the one with the garden view. We'd establish boundaries, respect each other's space, maintain our independence while sharing the burden of daily life. But underneath all the logistics, there was something else, a recognition. 2 people who'd loved and lost, who'd raised families and buried spouses, who understood that companionship doesn't always look like romance, but it's precious nonetheless. "People will talk," Emma said quietly. "They'll assume things." "Let them," I replied. "We know the truth. We're 2 adults making a sensible decision. If they can't understand that friendship and mutual support can exist without complications, that's their limitation, not ours. Emma moved in 3 weeks later. Those first months were an adjustment. We learned each other's rhythms, the small courtesies of shared space. She liked classical music while cooking. I needed silence with my morning paper. She was a night owl. I rose with the sun. But we also learned the comfort of another presence, of saying good morning to someone who cared about the answer, of cooking meals worth the effort because someone would appreciate them, of having someone notice if you seemed tired or sad or needed to talk. 6 months in, Emma's daughter visited. I saw the concern in her eyes, the questions she wanted to ask. But as the weekend unfolded, as she watched her mother laugh freely, saw the color back in her cheeks, heard the lightness in her voice, something softened. "Thank you," she told me privately before leaving. "I was worried about Mom, but I see now that she's truly happy. You both are." Life settled into a comfortable rhythm. We took turns cooking, shared the newspaper, watched old movies on Friday nights. Emma tended the garden while I handled the heavier maintenance. We celebrated holidays together, welcomed each other's families, created new traditions. One evening, almost a year after that first joke, we sat on the back porch watching fireflies. "Do you ever wonder," Emma asked, "what would have happened if you hadn't offered that day? Or if I hadn't been brave enough to say yes?" "I think," I said slowly, "we'd both still be in our separate houses, managing alone, missing out on this." "This," she smiled, "this friendship, this partnership, this proof that it's never too late to redesign your life in a way that makes sense for who you are now, not who you used to be." Emma reached over and squeezed my hand. Not romantic, just grateful, connected. "Best joke you ever told," she said. "Best answer I ever received." I replied. The fireflies danced in the growing darkness, and for the first time in years, neither of us felt alone. If this story touched your heart, please share and subscribe for more tales of life, love, and second chances. Share your own stories of unexpected friendships in the comments below.